Hello, Tiger fans. A new week of Tiger Timeout here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you as we take a look at Tiger and Lady Tiger basketball. A home weekend in the Powell Athletic Center. They get Cumberland University last Thursday. Saturday, it was UT Southern. Campbellsville's women's program comes out of there with 2 wins as the head coach, Ginger Colvin, joins me. And, Coach, you get that back-to-back at home in the Powell. That's been a rarity this year. And, we've talked about it a little bit, but just to be home, to be in the friendly confines of the Powell. And I thought Thursday night you had a terrific crowd. Some students got into it. It was a fun night.
Yeah, just being home is so great and not worrying about travel, worrying about all that stuff. And the kids can stay in their own beds, and our families travel well anyway, but we were able to have, like you said, a better crowd, and it was just nice to have.
The Phoenix come in. This is a team playing really well. You have your hands full as Coach Scott Bloom brings his club in. And without Lindsey Freeman, I think you were kind of waiting up until game time, just trying to figure out, is she going to play, is she not? And it's one of those things that you prepare for, but if she's not on the floor, that's not necessarily a bad thing for the Lady Tigers. But early in the ball game, kind of back and forth, a little bit of a slugfest there early.
So, yes, absolutely. And without Freeman, they even still played Thomas More. Had Thomas More down 14 actually without her. They still have a great 1-2 punch with their 1 and 2 guards. They've got a shooter that they can bring in, and then their posts have great size. So it was early. We had to feel each other out, and I felt like we had some good looks, but we didn't get in a good flow. But once we got in a good flow, I felt better about it.
Let's take a look at the numbers from that win for Campbellsville University as the Lady Tigers pull away from Cumberland throughout the ball game. 80-55, the final score. Caitlin Wilkes was 16 points, 8 rebounds. Sarah Sutton had a nice day, 14 points. Kayla Luby had 13 for Campbellsville University. And that's that 1-2 punch there, Coach, you see from Caitlin and then Kayla and then Sarah, kind of that 4 spot. So your post positions really providing a lot of offense there. And we've talked about Caitlin and Kayla throughout the year. And I know Kayla's had some family here, so that's always exciting for her. But, man, when you can just bring one in and bring one out, put the other one in, that's a good problem to have.
It is. And like we talked about, they're different. They're both strong post kids, but they're very different. Kayla is a lot more physical and probably a little bit stronger than Kate. Kate has got, she goes either shoulder. She's got a nice little touch, nice little, even maybe a soft hook, if you want to call it that. But they both play extremely hard, and they've given us a lot of depth there. And it's just been, I know for an opposing coach or an opposing post, they really could wear you down quickly.
And I know for Caitlin, I mean, she's a sharpshooter. She's got great range, would love to step out and shoot it about 10 times a game. She had a birthday this week, so we've got to give her a hard time. But also, as far as Caitlin goes, we mentioned the gritty off. We got to tell the story, have fun with the girls. But there was a dance contest, and Caitlin is adamant that she was robbed.
She's adamant about a lot of things. But no, she was not robbed. Bert sold it. Bert was invested, and Caitlin, I don't even know if she was top 3. But yeah, we did have a gritty off. And talking about her being a long range, yesterday, a month away from Christmas, I celebrated Christmas with my family. My mom's had COVID. We had some issues of getting everybody together. So Miranda, Hootie's in charge of practice. Yesterday was Kate's birthday. I get a text from Hootie. I give Kate an opportunity to hit a half-court shot. She did, so I'm supposed to cut practice in half. I feel like they had a great practice, but I feel like the beginning and ends of practice were a little out of control. And she did bank one in, by the way. She banked a half-court shot in.
You may have to go back to the film and really get a good look at what they accomplished
I'm going to have to do that.
Yesterday. But the Assistant Mid-South Conference and National Coach of the Year, I'm sure she did.
She probably reined them in a little bit.
You guys flipped the script. Saturday, UT Southern comes to town. And you talk about a team. Coach Billy Evans, they are just banged up. If it can go wrong, it has gone wrong for those guys. Very short-handed. It's been a long time, Coach, since I've seen a team come to the Powell with 7 players. Just a difficult season for Coach Evans and his bunch.
And, the most important player on your team, most coaches will tell you, is your point guard. And his point guard's out. He is eventually going to get her back. I think she's close. She was moving pretty well out there, but I don't know her situation, but I do think he's going to get her back. There's 3 other kids that he's had in street clothes on the bench. They didn't travel probably because of classes. But Billy does a great job with his kids. They adore him. You can tell that they play extremely hard for him. And like you said, it's just you just never want to see anybody going through that, the way that they've but they play hard. It doesn't matter if they put 7 or 10, they're going to play hard, and they're going to give you everything they have.
And take a look at the numbers from that matchup with UT Southern there on Saturday. Campbellsville gets a 94-49 win. Sarah Sutton had 20 points, 6 rebounds. I think she had a handful of three-pointers in that ball game. Kayla Luby had 13. Courtney Pritchett, 12 points, 8 boards. It was kind of fun to watch Sarah in the first half, second quarter, and then Courtney got going in the third quarter. Coach, it felt like everything they were throwing up was going to go in. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, as a coach sitting on the sideline, that's got to be about as fun for you just to watch those two or any players. Just when they throw it up, you know it's going in. Right. It's fun.
Well, you know, you can throw Bird in there too. When they get in a rhythm, they're fun to watch. And when they can, you know, Sarah, I think the crowd sees that coming, and they know when she gets in a rhythm, she's hard to stop. And then Courtney, I loved seeing her take some initiative or be a little bit more aggressive with looking for her three-point shot, because she shoots it extremely well, and we're just fortunate that they fell for us.
The thing that I love the most about Sarah is her spacing, and you know, I mentioned it with Benji, that design trailer late up the floor, that is her wheelhouse, and you know, if she's got a little room and they can pitch it back, that's a good chance of going in.
It is, and Lauren is as good as it gets to get in the paint and find a trail, even a skip she just has great vision that way. You know, a lot of point guards have their thing, and I think Lauren is the best at getting to the lane and finding. And Sarah's really good. She gets the right angles, and she gets to where Lauren can get the ball to her.
The Lady Tigers pick up 2 in the PAL. They'll hit the road on Thursday to take on Wilberforce. We'll step away, come back, and talk with the head coach about the upcoming matchup with Wilberforce, as well as look ahead to the meeting with Thomas More on Saturday. Stay with us here on Tiger Timeout.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Thanks for staying with us here on Tiger Timeout. Matt Payton with you as the Lady Tigers get set for action this weekend. They go to Wilberforce there just north of Cincinnati on Thursday. On Saturday, a big one as Thomas More will come to Campbellsville. And Coach, not to look too far ahead, but on Saturday, the new poll will come out this week. A good chance you guys slide back up to that 3rd spot, which you held for a big portion of the year. Dort had lost to Evangel. So, you know, there's a chance. We'll wait and see what that looks like. But, you know, anytime you get a top 5 matchup somewhere throughout the NAI, that's when all eyes are going to be tuned in for sure.
Yeah, I know that. But we've got to focus on Wilberforce. You know, I think everybody's talking about Saturday, and we can't wait to see Saturday. We've got a Wilberforce team that we've got to go play on the road. Our kids have never been to Wilberforce, and that's what our focus is. They're athletic. They do a really good job. If they hit shots, they're hard to play with. So at home, we've got to be in tune to what they're doing. You
know, you talked in the postgame on Saturday about Wilberforce a little bit of the tale of 2 teams. At home, they've been much more problematic, and that's natural in their facility that they're used to and comfortable in. And you know, I think on Thursday night they'd love to get after you, and that's a perfect trap game spot for them.
It is, and it's a Thursday night game. They'll have their students there, and they have a great student atmosphere, great band, and they're going to get after you from that aspect of it, so our kids have to be prepared for that.
I was told that the band is maybe one of the loudest you will hear anywhere.
It is, yes, I think it is something, and it's something our kids have not come across. Bethel's band is really good, but I think Wilberforce is, and this is, back in the day, they let the band sit behind the bench. Now they've moved the bands, but it's going to be an experience that we've got to be prepared for.
Let's take a look at the matchup preview with Wilberforce. Campbellsville got them pretty good here at the Powell Center. Earlier this year, the Lady Tigers looking for win number 20 on the season, 19-1 for Campbellsville. The Bulldogs 3-16. The Lady Tigers still one of the nation's, among the nation's tops in points per game and field goal percentage there, as that game will come your way on Thursday, the 26th there, 5:30. Colin Sheffield will have the call for you in Wilberforce, Ohio. So, Coach, if anything goes wrong, you, of course, can blame Colin for that. It
yes,
would be all his fault, as he would have to take the heat for that
I think
one.
he'll handle it just fine. Yeah.
He'll be fine. You know, the biggest thing, you and I were talking a bit off air, the last time I went up there, I've been there once, and I ended up doing the basketball game off of Zach Perry's cell phone just to get signal. They had no Ethernet. It's a cinder block building, metal roof, so very little cell phone reception. So let's just hope Colin can get us a broadcast
yes, let's do.
On the air. And then Saturday, as we kind of look at that Thomas More matchup, it's their last trip to the Powell Center. They'll move to the Division II ranks in the NCAA next year. Earlier this season at their place, a good one through about 35 minutes.
Yep.
Went a bit cold down the stretch. They hit a couple of big shots. It's going to be a fun one Saturday afternoon.
It is. You know, they're ranked #1 for a reason. They're defending national champs. They've played great. Really good defensive team. And we didn't shoot the ball extremely well up there, but like I say, good defensive teams make you take bad shots. And then they shot the ball just out of really, really well when we played. And we've got to clear up some of those things. We've got to work on some ways not to let them get so many open looks, and then we've got to be better offensively.
And it's a Thomas More team that you've mentioned a couple times. You thought maybe they're better defensively than they were a year ago, which is sometimes kind of, you know, it's hard to process that because last year they had kind of a rim protector in Alexa Chrisman, who was terrific in the national tournament for them. Right. But now they're just maybe a little smaller, and they switch everything.
Switch everything, and they're really well coached and just a smart group of kids to put on the floor, and there's not a weak spot with them.
Take a look at the numbers from that matchup that will come your way here at the Powell Center on Saturday, 1 o'clock, the start time there on the 28th. Campbellsville 19-1. That these numbers there will change a bit based on this Thursday's contest, but you can see a lot of the numbers there, Coach, and they are one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country with young ladies like Courtney Hurst and Zoe Barth. They're about as good as it gets, and their time in the Mid-South has overlapped perfectly with the careers of Barth and Hurst. Coach Hands timed that pretty well.
Yeah, they did. That's two great players. Zoe Barth is she's just a utility. She can do a little bit of everything, and she makes big plays. Hurst is a great shooter and has great size, defends well, and he's got two good ones to wrap people around, and they do just an outstanding job. But we're going to give them what we've got Saturday, and hopefully I feel like we are problematic for them. Like we said, they can switch everybody, but they have with our two posts, I feel like we've got a little bit of an advantage there, and we've got to make sure we can get the ball to them. Yeah,
early in that game up there, they were hitting from deep, but Caitlin Wilkes and Kayla Luby were really having some success inside. So it'll be a nice little cat and mouse on Saturday in the Powell Athletic Center. Coach, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
The Lady Tigers Thursday evening in Wilberforce, Ohio, 5:30 the start there. Then at 1 o'clock on Saturday in the Powell Center against #1 Thomas More. We'll step away, take a timeout, come back and visit with the head coach of Tiger basketball, Brent Vernon, here on Tiger Timeout.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Tiger Timeout here. Matt Payton with you on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. We turn our attention now over to Tiger basketball. Just like the Lady Tigers, Campbellsville's men's club was at home in the PAL this past weekend. And Coach Brent Vernon joins me. Coach, I opened with Ginger High Colvin the same way. Just being back at home is awfully nice for a few games. To be here for a while, that I know that Thursday, Saturday is kind of a rarity. To have both, I don't know, it feels normal to me. I hope it feels that way to you guys, but to know you have what has been over the course of the last several years, that normal weekend at home is always a good thing. It was
really good to be home, and it was nice and going into last week with 9 games left, knowing that 6 of your last 9 were going to be at home. But it was you play, you're not in a rush to make sure you're getting back and preparing for Saturday. Everything was just a little more smoother and calm, and I wish it had sort of been like the travel partners all year, but that's not the way it was. But it was a lot better than what we had been experiencing.
Let's take a look at the numbers from the Tigers' win over Cumberland University in overtime. It was a barn burner, and that's been life for you guys this season, Coach. Anything that positive happens is not going to come easy for you. 77-68. It was tied at 63 going into the overtime, so you can see there Campbellsville with a big advantage in the overtime period. Malachi DeSouza had a terrific ball game, 21 points, 9 rebounds, a couple of blocks, and Keyston Brown, Jay Milburn also chipping in. Milburn with a career high 5 blocks in that game, Coach. A total team effort, one that was kind of, I'll say long overdue. I know you guys have been chipping away right there. You've had some opportunities down at Bethel, was a heartbreaker, but to get that one over Cumberland, I know that felt good Thursday.
It did, and it was a very good game of 2 teams that were competing hard, and a game of runs sort of back and forth. And we've been really working on finishing and trying to get to where we're not that 35 or 36 minute team. And I thought we played a way more complete game, and instead of being that, we were closer to a 40 to 45 minute team as winning into overtime. But we just did a really good job all the way around, and maintained, and those last 5 minutes came up with a few more plays.
And one thing that we talked about after the game, it's funny, in overtime the benches just completely shrink. You just get to these guys, and you're just going to play them until the wheels fall off or they foul out in some cases. And for you at the end of the game, a couple of freshmen and a sophomore out on the court, and that was the group that kind of earned it that night. And that's that's really cool. Long term, you start to kind of play this out. It's a really cool thing for a head coach, I think.
It was. I mean, Malik had fouled out, so you roll with Jay, and then you look at Zach Travis, who had gotten a start that game, first one, and it's something that he had really earned, and Javon Smith. Those guys just really got out and played well. And it's nothing against the guys who they took minutes from that specific night, but they just outperformed them, as you said. And it also speaks volumes about our team and the depth that we're creating. It was something that, you look at Zach especially, first semester very rarely played, but was really getting closer and closer and knocking that on the door. And not only is he knocked out, he's knocked it all the way down. And he's really earning some good minutes now and defending hard, and he brings a good job to spread the floor for us offensively. He's got a good knack of passing the ball and handling the ball. Scoring is becoming a little harder for him, but that's okay, and it's because he had a game, down against Freed where he made 4 threes and the scouting report's out. But because of the way he can defend and do some things, he's still really helping us. And those 2 guys, especially on the perimeter, really chased some good players and did a nice job defensively.
And that was a game down there at Cumberland. It was pretty close throughout the first 16 minutes or so. They got you there at halftime, and you got down early. So I think in some ways you start to maybe even think in your own head, uh-oh, not this again. But you're a resilient bunch, battled right back through that.
Yeah, I think they jumped out 18-8 or 9, and we came right back and ended up taking the lead. And again, in conference, a lot of times that does happen, a game of runs, and you saw that both Thursday and Saturday of this week. And I think our guys, again, this second time around, you've seen a team mature and continue to get better and have belief, and that's just something we needed to happen for us. And again, one win can do wonders for you, and I know it didn't lead to a win on Saturday, but you've talked about 2 really good turnarounds for us.
Yeah, the Tigers on Saturday, as Coach mentioned, lose a heartbreaker to UT Southern. As we take a look at there, Campbellsville falls 76-74. Malachi DeSouza, again, a nice afternoon for Campbellsville, 19-7. Keyston Brown had 16. Jace Wallace with 9 and 6. And KB needed 3 more, Coach. He had that shot at the buzzer, and I know he's probably, not piling on him. I know he's set in the dorm room, in class maybe, and he's probably replayed that in his head several times. I know he probably had more time on that last second shot than he thought. The key is you got to get it off, but that's a tough spot for anybody to be.
Incredibly tough, and it's no knock on him. It's something that you don't want to be in a situation of last-second shots a lot, but you'd rather be in that situation than the other way around. And until you're there sometimes and experience it, it's hard to really realize 2.7 seconds and how long of amount of time that is. I credit all of our guys from Jay Milburn throwing the pass to Malik catching it and making the pass to KB. The execution was absolutely perfect, and we got the shot that we were looking for. Unfortunately, we rushed it a little bit and didn't get it to fall, but you talk about a team that we played an incredibly talented, hard group in UT Southern, and a game of runs for both teams, and unfortunately, 2 points just separated at the end.
Yeah, I mean, UT Southern's a team in the top half of the league, returning their entire unit, basically got some really big performances off the bench from some of their role players.
Yeah.
Kendall Wright had an amazing first half for them, and kind of shifted things a bit for UT Southern. But that's a team down there that early in your conference schedule, it's fifth game of the season. So I think everybody had it in their head this way. But back to similar to Cumberland University, flush that, move on, and here at the Pal, you had a chance to knock them off.
Absolutely, and we talked about it last week going into this when we really ran into a buzzsaw down there, and they played just incredible basketball, but they beat us by 35, 40 points, and there was little we could do to recover from that. And then we come right back, and again, I think it shows a lot of maturity in your group whenever they jump out on you again, 10 or 12 point lead, and instead of thinking here we go again, it's we get down and we guard and we make a few stops and score a few baskets. And you had to talk about the turnaround we made and had a lead late, and again, you've got to credit their guards. They made some incredibly well defended shots late in the game, and again, we had some good looks to capitalize, and unfortunately just came up that one possession short.
Yeah, the Tigers drop the heartbreaker. They're back in action on Thursday as they'll take to Wilberforce. Mid-South Conference doubleheader there in Wilberforce, Ohio. We'll step away, come back, and get the coach's thoughts on that matchup with the Bulldogs, as well as Saturday's game against Thomas More. Stay with us here on Tiger Timeout.
Worried about your friend but don't know how to reach out?
You can say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You can ask with an app if it works for you. You can chat with them in VR. It's so good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Our closeout segment here on Tiger Timeout this week. Matt Payton with you along the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Thanks for tuning us in as Campbellsville gets set to hit the road. They'll take on Wilberforce Thursday evening. That is a 7:30 start time. Thomas More comes to the Powell Center on Saturday, a 3 p.m. start for the Tigers. As Coach Brent Vernon joins me. Coach, this Wilberforce game is it's the one on the schedule that it doesn't look like any of the others. It is I wasn't prepared for what I saw the first time you played them. I know you had watched film, you were, all that stuff, but even to some degree, you kind of had to feel it out on the sidelines. Your guys had to feel it out. It's a wild style that they play.
It is, and again, it goes back to we were prepared, but the style and speed, until you literally see it, you can't be fully engaged in it. We did a pretty good job of adjusting. We had spurts where we still lacked, and that's something that we'll go back and watch film beforehand to make sure we correct that. But I feel good going into Thursday again. You better be 10 or 12 points better though on the road to have a chance to win. They've played some people very close on the road, and we've got to make sure that we take care of the basketball and get the shots that we're wanting, defend and rebound. If we do those things, we're going to give ourselves a chance to get a win on the road.
You know, you got a big double-digit win here at home against them. You turned the ball over, I think, 30-plus times right there at it. That's kind of been normal, though. They've turned a lot of teams over. But the good thing that that day you were able to create some easy offense whenever their pressure didn't get home or whenever they couldn't come away with a steal. You were able to generate some easy buckets.
Yeah, and I think if they continue that way, we'll be able to. Again, what's really odd about Wilberforce is you'll watch one or two films and they will press, but it won't be with the same ferociousness maybe they showed against us, and they back off a little bit, and then the next game it'll be the entire 40 nonstop. So I think we'll have to wait to see the first few minutes exactly which team we're getting. I think, you know, as they're trying to figure teams in our league out, they're adjusting some on the fly, but we'll be prepared for either one. And again, as long as we take care of the ball, I expect us to be able to get the shots that we're looking at and wanting to get every possession.
Let's take a look at the matchup numbers as Campbellsville travels to Wilberforce, Ohio for this one. The Tigers and Bulldogs meeting again on Thursday, 7:30. And some of the numbers pretty similar there. You can see the field goal percentage, a couple percentage points in favor of Campbellsville, but the points and free throw percentage relatively close. And it's a Wilberforce team, Coach, that not a lot of big bodies. There's a lot of interchangeable pieces that they're going to run out at you. And I think in that first matchup, maybe it didn't get Malik going quite as much as you would have liked. And obviously that's a place that could be a mismatch for you all.
It is. And the biggest reason we couldn't get Malik going is because there was never really any offensive half-court possessions for us. He can finish in transition, but he's better to getting it where you can get his rhythm going. And that's a little bit of a difference between him and Jay. You look at Jay that game, I think he had 21 or 23 points, and everything was in transition, off the move, off the run, and that's a little better suited for Jay's game. But we feel like we can complement either one and be able to get that going. So, you know, I know our guys, they're feeling really good about themselves right now. They understand how close we are, and obviously getting that win last Thursday, I think, builds confidence moving into this week.
As we look ahead to Saturday and the matchup with Thomas More, looking at those numbers, Campbellsville and Thomas More had a close one up in Crestview Hills earlier this season. It's a Thomas More that I don't want to say struggle, Coach, but they've run up on some good clubs here of late, and that 15-5 record, you know, a little misleading. That is a really, really good ball club. 5 losses, of course, in the Mid-South Conference is nothing to hang your head about. It's a tough league, but you know that club. Reed Jolly and some of the pieces that Coach Justin Ray has. It's a really good basketball team. Incredibly talented, incredibly skilled, tough and physical, good defensively, hard to guard with the sets that they run offensively. It was our first game back from Christmas. They had played 2 games on the road, and it was nip and tuck the entire way. I think that sort of started some positive stuff for our group coming back from Christmas, and I think we've done a good job of trying to build off of that. Have we gotten as many wins since Christmas as we'd like? No, but again, our team is continually to grow and mature and get better day in and day out. And, you know, being at home in the PAL, I think, does nothing but help us. You know, the last 2 games last week, the crowd on both Thursday and Saturday have been great, and we'd love to see a great crowd. Obviously, got a huge game with the women's before us, but hopefully the crowd will be there to help us. And again, I think if we take care of the basketball and then on the defensive end, keep them in front and rebound, I think we have a very good chance to come out with a win on Saturday. Coach, best of luck this weekend. Thanks, Matt. The Tigers at it Thursday in Wilberforce. The Mid-South Conference doubleheader with our women's club begins at 5:30. The Tigers follow at 7:30. Colin Sheffield will be on site for the call at 5:15 on 88.7. The Tiger then on Saturday, the Tigers and Lady Tigers in the Powell Center hosting Thomas More, 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Coverage begins at 12:45. For Ginger High Colvin and Brent Vernon, I'm Matt Payton. We'll see you next time on Tiger Timeout.